Hello guys, what is up? Welcome back to another one of my daily Yu-Gi-Oh videos, and today we'll be going over, is Pot of Desires really a good card? Sure, it's a +1, and that's pretty good and all, but we're going to get right into all the reasons why I think it is a good card. So first, I'm going to start off by basically reading Pot of Desires effect. Now if you see right here, you banish 10 cards from the top of your deck, face down, so your opponent cannot see them, you can, and draw 2 cards. You can only activate 1 Pot of Desires per turn. Now, banishing 10 cards greatly reduces your deck and has a very high chance of banishing triple of a single card, and if that card was important to the deck, that's not good. Now, if you give me a second, I'll give you 1 card that can make you insanely plus off of this card, and I'll show you that in just a second. Okay, right here I got an Amazon box, and we're going to get right into a card here that will turn this deck from nothing to something. Now, while I'm trying to find this card, we're going to get some of the reasons why this card is so hated. Any deck that runs a single boss monster is at a great disadvantage in running this card if you don't know how to use it. Now, the fact that it banishes 10 is, I've already gone over this, very high chance to banish 3 of the same card. If you're running a deck like Blue Eyes, there's a ton of search, and basically this is going to be the last card you activate in your hand, or maybe the next turn, so that you can get draw power once you've used all your cards, because Blue Eyes seems to use a lot of materials, ending you with no hand, and if your opponent wipes your field, you're basically over with. But this can get you 2 more materials, and it can be very nice. The fact that it banishes means you can put into play triple DDR. This is the discard to summon one banished type monster, or not banished type, but you unbanish a monster and basically equip it to that. This is good and all because this gives you a +1, this is a -1, so it's an even trade for a free monster. The only downside to it is you still banish 9 other cards. And if you don't banish a monster, then you're at a great disadvantage by having a dead card in your hand. So this card is very situational. So if you were going to run it, I'd recommend running 2 or maybe just 1. Pot of Desires obviously has a very similar effect to Pot of Greed. Pot of Greed is just a basic draw 2 cards. Pot of Greed at the moment is banned, whereas Desires is unlimited. The reason Pot of Greed was banned, because it was a no-cost +1, basically meaning that running triple of this card could reduce your deck by 6, and if you were to run some filter cards like Trade-In in a Blue Eyes deck, you could get your deck to around 28 cards or less using filter cards, and Allure of Darkness is also in there. And basically what this does, it allows you to get to all your cards that you want so easily, and it makes any deck way too consistent than it should be, especially in a format where where consistency is all about how the game works. So consistency is very powerful, especially in a deck that is not very powerful, but there's a lot of high risk, high reward decks, and filter cards can turn that to low risk, high reward as well. And that's not how Konami likes it, apparently. But Pot of Desires has a similar effect. You do get to draw 2, but you have to banish the top 10, which most people say is a -9, but I don't think it's a -9 whatsoever, and you can actually turn it into more pluses using DDR. So right off the bat, most people are gonna say that you're gonna draw into another Desires because that's what people do all the time. The chance of that is really low, and it's actually better if you were to banish your other Desires. Now, any deck that can run 3 of these, I recommend doing it for sure. My friend, he was all like, I hate banishing cards, I do not want to play this card. I told him just give it a go on YGO, and now he won't give me any of his because he loves them so much now. He was going to give me a few. So this card, in final, I just want to say this card is an amazing card. You should play it before it gets hit by the ban list, if it ever does. There's some decks that there's an exception to running this. that you shouldn't be running this in. Blue Eyes, if your deck is not already consistent enough, I don't recommend running 2 of these, only 1. Yo guys, sorry about that. I kind of ran out of space on my phone, but I can just continue on from here. So this card is very powerful. Any +1 that is a single card +1 is very, very powerful because of consistency. Now, this is not the same as Pot of Greed here, where you can just easily mill because its cost is so expensive that if you were... So Pot of Greed, I've seen people activate Pot of Greed, draw into 2 more Pot of Greeds, and they're all like, wow, it's amazing, I get 2 more +1s. Whereas Desires, you draw into 2 Desires, and you basically want to go die. If you did activate all 3 of the Desires in a 40-card deck, you already have 5 cards off of your hand, meaning you have 35 cards. You would immediately deck out if you draw into 3 of these. Draw into 1, activate effect, draw into 2 more. You could only activate 1 more, and then you would deck out if you activated the last one. And basically what this means is people only like to run 2. The chance of you activating this card and drawing into 2 more is very low. And I want to criticize the people that only run 2 because of that, because you could, and you would probably lose that duel, other than the fact that you could activate 2 and get a +2 that turn. Maybe if you had a good enough hand, get your turn off without ruining your entire deck. But that's basically why Pot of Desires is not as powerful as Pot of Greed. Now, you guys say, oh wow, obviously Pot of Greed is more powerful. But to be honest, their effects are almost exactly the same. Draw 2, but banish 10. Now, filter cards work really well with this deck, or with this card, because if you filter into 2 of them, that's actually really good. Now, some people would say, oh, you're banishing your entire deck. Well, if your deck is consistent enough, you can basically get a good enough field out, then activate both of them, and then have 4 extra cards in your hand for the next turn that you can save. I would recommend playing them at the moment, just because, yeah, and sure, you can lock yourself out of a lot of the effects if you have a very search deck, but if you have a very, forgot the word for a second, a deck that basically sends a lot to grave to draw more, how did I forget? I was just talking about it. Okay, well, basically, if you run a lot of cards that you discard 1, draw 2, or banish 1, draw 2, stuff like that, as long as the banishing is not very important to, it's okay if you do banish it. This card is very easy to run. I actually want to run 3 of these in my True Draco build, and I think you should too. In conclusion, Pot of Desires is a great card. You should run 2 of them. If you are feeling lucky, you can run 3, and if you're feeling too stressed about banishing 10, you can only run 1. It's all up to you. Or if you still don't like the card after this video, just try it. I mean, if you try it and it still doesn't work, try it in a different deck. Maybe if you only have 1 deck and it doesn't work, I think that's completely fine. There's some decks that this card still doesn't help, but I can't really think of any at the moment. It's a very splashable 1-card engine, basically. And by engine, I mean +1. So that's it for today's video, guys. I really want to discuss this because my friend really didn't like the card, and I couldn't understand why. I mean, it's so powerful. Now he loves the card. He runs it in all of his decks. And I recommend you should be doing that too. And basically that's it for this video, guys. Oop. Don't forget to leave. I can't talk in these videos. I just gotta say, sorry. But don't forget to leave a like if you want to see more discussion videos, or make sure to leave a dislike if you want to see more deck profiles. No, please don't do that. But remember, I kind of just do everything, but I do a video every single day, and based on whatever happened that day, or whatever I thought of, whatever happened, I'm gonna do a video for you guys. So, yeah, it's pretty good. You subscribe, am I right? Okay, guys, thank you for watching this video. Hopefully you have a good rest of the day, and if you're having a bad day, hopefully this cheered you up a little bit, and if it didn't, I don't know what to say, because I'm on the internet. Bye!